Rock Warehouse, and today we're hitting part 3 of our panel discussions over obscure albums. So what we're going to do is go around and each panelist will just throw out, 3 or 4 records and talk about them. And it's very casual. We're just going to have a discussion, and we're just going to go around the bend. So let's take a look at our panel and look at those guys. Just beautiful. Look at them. Got John Clauser. We got Rand. Everyone knows Rand. He's very popular. John the Music Nut. And we may have some more people show up later, but we'll just kind of wing it because that's what we do here at Grant's Rock Warehouse. We wing things. So I'm just going to start off. We're going to go clockwise the way I see it. So we'll go John, and then John Clauser. Sorry, John Music Nut. John Clauser, and then we'll go Rand, and then we'll go John the Music Nut. And then if someone else comes on, and then me, and then if someone else jumps in, we'll just squeeze them in there somehow. And Todd Evans. Holy crap.
Hey,
and
Todd.
Then after John the Music Nut, Todd
You're
Evans.
welcome, Todd.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome, Todd. How are you? Nice to see you.
Good to see you too.
And I want to I know we're streaming live, and I know, Todd, I am running on my new iMac.
Your hat looks redder than usual.
Yeah, the whole camera on this thing's like the bomb. I've been living in the dark ages, Todd.
Not anymore.
So I got it all set up. It can do high def. It can damn near do anything based on what I've seen.
I can see how crappy my camera is.
Yeah. This thing is really a work of art. I'm going to tell you that, Todd. Sorry that we're getting all geeky. So, Todd,
no, I'm excited.
Before you got on, what we're going to do is just go around. We'll go John Clauser, and then Rand, then Johnny Music, and you, and then me. And we're just going to 3 or 4 records that you just want to share.
All at once or one at a time?
We'll just do it all at once. What the hell?
Okay.
And then we'll just keep it casual. Unless you guys want to just go 1, 2, 3, and we just keep it moving like that.
I'm good with doing it all at once. I'm good with doing it all at once.
I like them all at once. I think it's a better flow, Grant.
Agreed.
I'm all about flow. So I'm just amazed at my camera. That's all.
In 10 years, I'm going to be all
pretty sexy
flow.
looking at that.
It's damn nice. I don't even see any drag. I'm used to like being in slow motion all the time. All right, John Clauser. I'm handing it over to you. What do you got for the panel today?
So I don't really know how much of this stuff is like really obscure.
Well,
more like maybe stuff that you just haven't heard about or don't get to talk much about.
That's fine. The whole thing is, John, with this whole channel is to throw out stuff that people really aren't familiar with.
Yep.
And introduce things to people that they might not hear, and maybe they want to pick this stuff up if they can find it.
That's
Some
true.
of this stuff you can find in the cheapie bin, and you might be surprised.
Yeah.
That's the whole goal.
That's right.
So go ahead, John. Sorry to interrupt.
So this first pick, this is a bunch of this was a band that came out in the early 90s. The band was produced by Steve Vai. You probably saw the singer on Different Strokes, and you probably caught him in a cameo in Terminator 2. The drummer currently is playing for Avenged Sevenfold. You probably saw the guitar player in the audience's listenings video by Steve Vai. I'm talking about Bad for Good.
I have seen that before, but it's been a long time. And I can't tell you where I saw it.
Yeah. So I was always a Steve Vai nut, and I really liked the kid who played guitar on this, Thomas McLaughlin. They started off the album with 19, a cover of a Phil Lynott track. And then just most of the material here is written by Steve Vai, but it's it's just it's actually pretty good. I still enjoy listening to this. This actually has a lot of good stuff on it. they only did the one album. They've, like I said, they kind of, Danny Cooksey kind of went on to doing voice stuff, but not a bad album. I still enjoy it. This next one, it's well known in the metal circles. The band is well known in the metal circles, but this album is hard to come by. I'm talking about New Wabam guys, Raven. And this particular album, Glow. This is hard to come by. Man, I couldn't find a CD copy of this to save my life. I finally found a bootleg from somewhere in Eastern Europe, and then the Raven guys were actually selling this on the Raven Lunatics group. So this is actually signed by John and Mark. This is actually a pretty good album. Very mid 90s. So they were very influenced by, there's a lot of like Alice in Chains influence here. There's some slower tracks, which is a little unusual for Raven. But when I did a ranking of their albums, I don't know why I ranked this one so low, but for some reason I started listening to it again. I'm like, this is really a good album. So this one's hard to come by, but pretty good if you can find it.
I never heard of it, and I'm a Raven fan.
The mid 90s period of Raven is tough. There's a lot, like Architect of Fear is another one that's kind of tough. It's hard to come by. And there's a couple of others that came out. It's just not something you find a lot of. I really had to do a little digging on eBay for this one. Okay, this next one I wasn't going to throw in there, but when I can't even find this on streaming services, and I happened to find this at my local record store for $5, I thought, you know what? I'm definitely getting this because I don't even have a copy of this. Sensational Alex Harvey Band Without Alex, the Foreplay album. I've never heard this album, so I'm in for a treat when I listen to it on YouTube because I still don't have a record player. But here's the back. It's got a picture of Alex Harvey with a duct tape on his mouth and stuff like that. But yeah, like Alex left the band for a short period of time, and then the guys just decided to do this album. And but yeah, it's not available on iTunes or Spotify or anything like that. So, and I think trying to find a digital version right now, I'm trying to find a CD version, and
what year was that?
That's a good question.
77, 78.
I've never seen that cover at all.
You can find some of those tracks on YouTube. They went on like Top of the Pops kind of stuff.
1977.
It's a tough listen from what I've heard, to be honest.
Maybe for $5 it was a pretty good steal then.
Yeah, they were. I don't know. I don't want to say it's a mess, but listen for yourself.
Yeah.
Well, I'd love to own it.
Yeah. Hey, for $5, I thought, hey, why not?
Ridiculous.
And it looks good. I mean, other than the sticker that's on the thing, the album, everything looks really good on it. So, my last choice is going to probably really blow everybody's mind. I remember as a little kid, I found this album on an 8-track, and for whatever reason, my dad decided to get it for us. And I wound up listening to this quite a bit, and to a point where I just was memorizing stuff like crazy from this album. Victor Buono. Now, who's that? Who's Victor Buono, you may ask?
Buono.
Buono.
I don't know how he actually pronounced it, but anyway.
I don't either, but I remember him.
But if any fans of the original Batman show, you saw him as King Tut. He's been in a bunch of different movies. I think he was in a few different movies. He passed away like in the late 70s or 1980, something like that. But this is a comedy album. And obviously I don't have the 8-track any longer, but this was a comedy album that he put out, and it's mostly just poetry. I'll give you an example. This is the one I can remember the most. It's a portion of the track Fat Man's Prayer. So he starts it off by saying, "Lord, my soul is ripped with riot, incited by my wicked diet. We are what we eat," said a wise old man. "And Lord, if that's true, I'm a garbage can." Yeah, and it would just keep going on. It basically, this whole thing basically, he was a big guy, and he basically is just praising his girth. Is really what it comes down to. There's so many funny things, and I remember as 5 or 6 years old, I was listening to this thing like crazy, and I would amaze people by memorizing, and I could recite this a lot of the stuff on here. There's one track which I won't talk about what it's about, but I wish I had known what the subject matter was about, and otherwise I would not have gone into it, because it was I would play it for somebody later and they got really offended by it. So I'm like, whoops. It's kind of a hot topic right now, so I'm not going to talk about what it was, but anyway, it's just such a funny album. I have a CD version of it as well. I love listening. I still love to listen to it today. It's just a wonderful listen. I actually found this record at a local store here, and it was only like $5. I thought I paid less for that, but anyway, I mean, it's just a funny listen. You can find it on Spotify and iTunes maybe, but it's just a great little listen, and I just love it. And again, not something you hear getting talked about. So
I would say that would count as being obscure. So
I love the title, Heavy.
Heavy, yeah. I mean, because that's
Him and Iron Butterfly.
Yeah, he was a heavy guy. He was not a skinny man, but he certainly he celebrated his girth and poked fun at it, and he was good with it. So
He was on the Wild Wild West too.
I believe, yeah, that sounds about right.
I think he was probably on
A lot of things.
Lost in Space. Yeah, he was on a lot of stuff back then.
Oh yeah.
He might have even been on a Star Trek, I think, maybe.
Could have been. But that's pretty much what I got. That's all I could come up with. That was my fun stuff. So
I
Well,
didn't
John,
know
that
he
was
did
pretty good.
comedy. That was crazy. What a surprise. I'm gonna have to give that a
Good
listen.
stuff.
I think.
Yeah.
I think
All right,
I think
go
I
ahead.
think you'll enjoy it. Like I said, it's all comedy. It's all poetry pretty much. So it has probably why I was able to memorize it so quickly as a kid. But yeah. Yep. Good stuff.
Cool. All right, Rand, you're up.
Okay. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed my dog, Apollo.
It's a fine
First
looking
thing
animal.
First thing I got is an obscure band. Now this is backwards, so I got to move it this way. Obscure band from Los Angeles called Flight. This is the Incredible Journey. Incredible Journey. This is their second album, and this sounds like a mixture of Chicago and Emerson, Lake and Palmer. It's just a crazy freaking album. And I was looking it up on Discogs, and it was never made to CD. And you can buy these things for like $3 in really good shape. But yeah, I like it a lot. It's this guy plays trumpet, and his name is Pat Vitas, and he kind of runs the band. And it's just absolute progressive jazz rock. It's just nuts. It came out in let's see here. What year did this come out? I can barely see it. 1976, 8, something like that. Wait a minute. It's hard for me to read it. 1976. So, jazz fusion and all that stuff was really happening, and Capitol Records decided to put it out. They got two of them. The first one's called Flight. This is an Incredible Journey. If you like that kind of stuff, like Chicago meets ELP with a trumpet player instead of they got a pretty hot shot keyboard player, but the trumpet does most of the leads. There's not a lot of guitar on it. It's mostly trumpet. It's just like crazy, and I really like it. I thought it'd be pretty obscure. And then I forgot we were rolling along. And then I've got this thing called, I don't even know how to pronounce this album. Is it Ixit Adux or is it Ixit Adu? Brainstorm? I don't know. But I forgot where these guys are from. I think Long Beach, California. That's where they're. It's on Madam X Records, and this was sold to me at the Works in Eureka, and it had a sticker on it that said "For fans of King Crimson and Frank Zappa." So of course I jumped on it. Well, I just checked on Discogs, and this thing's going for over $100. It's really good stuff. It's got vocals, and they gave you a lyric sheet inside and everything. But yeah, this is a very aggressive, harsh sounding album. And there's just no ballads or nothing on this. This is just completely wackadoodle prog rock, extremely intense. So I like that a lot. And then here's a kind of a surprise. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of this guy, Eberhard Schoner, Video Magic.
I have heard of him, but I'm not sure what from.
Right. Well, this came out in 1981, and excuse me, part of the backing band, you can't see it, but part of the backing band on here is the Complete Police, Sting, Andy Summers, Stuart
really?
Copeland. This is a secret Police album, kind of. It's really weird. I mean, he's like into like Tangerine Dream type keyboards and stuff, and then you got Sting playing the bass and singing, and Andy Summers. It's just not them; it's other people too. But I don't know which cuts are on which, But it's pretty cool. And the odd thing about this is this never went to CD. This is vinyl only. And here's the surprise of all. I think maybe somebody might recognize it, but I don't know if anybody will.
Oh, Journey.
Yeah, this is called Dream After Dream.
Oh, okay.
I never know that
1980.
came out as a half-speed master.
Yeah, I got lucky on that.
Wow.
I don't know if I did. Is that a thing? I don't know what it means.
Well,
Does it
it's
make
when
it sound
CBS
better?
was trying to. It's when CBS was trying to compete with mobile fidelity and all that.
Does it, I don't know if it makes a difference. It sounds great. It's a Japanese pressing. As far as I know, it's only sold in Japan. And it said right on the back, it says this record is playable on all record playback equipment. But yeah, it's pretty cool album. It's got a little thing in here with pictures of the band. They're just kind of looking like idiots, But apparently it's a soundtrack for a movie called Dream After Dream, and it never gets talked about in the Journey circles. I never anybody mention it. And in fact, I went on to Amazon Prime, and it's not even listed in their catalog on there. They have all the other Journey albums, but not this one. So I bought this just because I knew it was going to be kind of rare, but it's not super valuable. I mean, you can get these for like $25, But
I thought it originally came out in Japan or something.
Yeah,
this
Is
is
that,
a
is that what it?
Japanese pressing. Yeah, it was released in Japan.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong, but I don't think there's a U.S. release of that.
No, there isn't. It says recorded. The management's in San Francisco, but this actually says manufactured by Columbia Records in New York.
Oh,
So
well, that's
it's not
domestic.
exactly a Japanese pressing. I thought it was, but
I've got a
it was
domestic
recorded
pressing
in
of it.
Japan. The
Oh.
studio where they recorded it was in Japan because it was for this movie called Dream After Dream, and the song titles are real weird. Destiny, Snow Theme, Sand Castles, A Few Coins, Moon Theme, When the Love Is Gone, Festival Dance, The Rape, Little Girl. And it's the Steve Perry band. And
What's the year on that, Rand?
1980.
Okay, so it's Greg Rowley.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's still with them. Yeah, Greg Rowling. Yeah. I like the. I'm a big fan of the first 3 Journey albums, and I like this one, but I didn't go on past that. And that's what I got.
Cool. Very good. Amble 4 on the Floor, late 70s. Never heard of that. Features Glenn Hughes on vocals. It is a covers album where all the songs are done disco. Has a Rolling Stones melody. God, I can't say it. Melody.
Medley.
Medley. Actually, pretty good. Glenn is always great.
Yeah, Glenn Hughes is never bad, and I've seen that around.
Disco?
It's got a big picture on the cover of a 4-speed shifter in a car, and I've never heard it. I've seen the cover a million times.
Yeah, I've never even seen it.
By the way, Todd, John? Sorry, I found your Raven Glow on Discogs for $65.
That sounds about right.
As a CD, it's not cheap.
Dang.
No. Mm-mm.
What label was Raven on?
Well, in the 80s, originally they were on Neat Records, and they went to Megaforce, and they were on Atlantic Combat. Then in the 90s, they were in like a lot of small time labels, and I think they're on. I want to say they're on Nuclear Blast, or I can't think of who they're on now, but I have to look at that one. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Weren't they the first thrash band? Those guys?
I don't know if I would really call them thrash. They were maybe more of a speed metal. Their sound was more like athletic rock. They called it because it was.
I was just going to say that.
That was kind of the term that they were always given. So yeah, I don't know if I would really call them. I mean, speed maybe. I don't know if I would call them thrash, but.
Okay.
But I
some
mean,
of the songs are really fast.
Oh yeah, they. I mean, and of course, John Gallagher's voice is, maybe not for everybody, but he does have a really good voice, and some of the notes he hits is just ridiculous, but it gets a little trilly sometimes. But he's got a good voice, and they're really very talented players. He and Mark. So that's why I've always liked him so much. But yeah, I forget the original label that particular.
I was
album
just curious.
It was it was some maybe Steamhammer SPV or one of those little German or labels, but I don't really remember. But going back to Rand's Dream After Dream, yeah, I'm looking on Discogs too. The only album, the CD issues, Japan mostly. I think there was an unofficial release from Russia. But yeah, nothing.
Yeah, you can't buy those. You'll hit for sale, and you'll hit that, and it'll say, "Oh no, there's nothing here."
Yeah, the only release was done was on vinyl in the States, and that's it. And
I've got it, and I bought it for $1. If
might
I knew we were going to talk about it, I would have pulled it.
Oh, okay,
Very cool.
That's cool.
All right, excellent.
All
right, Rand. Thanks very much. That was fascinating stuff.
You're welcome.
John the Music Nut.
Okay.
You're up.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here as always. So today,
yeah, nice to have you.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to talk about 3 albums today. And 2 of them are artists that are very well known. And the one I'm going to talk about second should be a lot more well known. And my first one, because I've been doing some work with Peter Kerr on this artist, I was thinking, you know what? This man has a great album that not too many people gave a lot of love to. And I'm talking about Lou Reed. And the name of this album is Set the Twilight Reeling. Now, I switched a cover here because originally it came in this blue cover. And if I was to put the insert in the blue, you wouldn't be able to see it. But this album came out in February of 1996. And if you like New York, and if you like songs from Drella, from 1989, 1990 respectively, you'll really like this album too. On here, he went really back to his heavy guitar rock sound, and it was like half guitar rock and half very reflective songs about relationships. He's the only guitarist on here, but he wails. Fernando Saunders plays some excellent fretless bass. As far as the tracks, Egg Cream, which is just a song about going to get an egg cream when he was growing up in New York, it's fantastic, and it rocks like hell. It's probably like his heaviest song since The Blue Mask from '82. And then the next song is called New York City Man. It's basically a song about, do I want to get in a long-term relationship? And it's got this great, it has this great jazz feel to it. The horns, very classy. It's a wonderful song. In fact, I think he picked It's actually called NYC Man, but it's New York City Man. And later on, he named one of his greatest hits compilations NYC Man. Excuse me. Finish Line is this acoustic song which has sparse piano, and it's a tribute to Sterling Morrison of the Velvet Underground, which was passed on right before the album came out. And then after that, his songs are a little more reflective, like Hang On to Your Emotions, Trade In. One thing I should mention is he dedicated this album to his girlfriend, Laurie Anderson, and he married her 14 years later. She was an artist. Hooky Wookie was the song that hit radio, but it's not really reflective of the album. In fact, I think it's the worst song on the album. It just sounds like they said, "Hey Lou, write something that we can play." I mean, it's okay for what it is, but I mean, I think everything else on the album is much better. But you got other great songs like Adventurer, Riptide. He really wails on that, and Set the Twilight Reeling is like the dramatic closer where he starts out real mellow, and then it just gets into this fierce hard rock at the end. It's a wonderful end to a great album that I don't think got enough love. So again, this is Set the Twilight Reeling from 1996. Now, my second choice I'm wearing. This is Danielle Nicole, and she is a blues singer and bass player. She originally was in a band with her two brothers, and they were called Trample Nutter. They were together for 3 albums. They broke up. It was her sibling, her two brothers. The guitar player, Nick, he's out on his own now as a blues guitar player, and he is wonderful. But what I'm going to talk about is Danielle Nicole, and this is her second album, and this is called Cry No More. This was from 2018. She has one of the most beautiful voices you'd ever hear. Her voice can stop time. Fantastic singer, especially when you go see her live and she just sings a cappella. I mean, she's fantastic. But this album here, she's very big in the blues world. So this was an album that was recorded with a lot of other guests on guitar, like great blues players like Kenny Wayne Shepherd and Sonny Landreth and Walter Trout, players like that.
Good names.
Oh yeah, I mean, classy album, recorded impeccably. I mean, there's so many albums that have been coming out by independent artists these days, and I think they're getting more of a pop sheen, but this sounds like it was recorded in the 1970s. It's a wonderful album. Great songs. I mean, you got songs that are really this biting blues rock like Crawl and Poison the Well, wonderful ballad and Bobby, Hot Spell and Burning for You. In a more forgiving musical environment, they'd be on the radio. They're wonderful songs. She also does a great cover of How Come You Don't Call Me Anymore. And this was a Prince song. It was a B-side. And I don't remember what it was the B-side to, but if you pick up his box set.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I could look it up. But I mean, if you pick up his box set, hits 1, hits 2, and the B-sides, it's on that third disc. But Danielle Nicole's amazing. Fantastic live performer, as I said. Her touring band's great. Brandon Miller's her guitar player. He's a great blues guitar player as well. They just smoke. I mean, they're just a wonderful band. Poison the Well's a great song. Cry No More is another great track, but there's a lot of different changes and emotions on here. All the songs are great. And if you buy the vinyl, you will also get a download card, and you'll get 3 additional songs. I mean, on the CD, there's 13 songs. On the vinyl, there's 10. So it's my number 2, Danielle Nicole, Cry No More, 2018. Yes.
Not interrupt, but your video froze when you were mentioning her band, but the band was called Trampled Underfoot, correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah, and to name drop again, as we did last time, my band leader opened for them at Sellersville Theater. I was
Nice.
not part of them at the time. I was taking a
Oh.
break, but they're very good. And you did name drop. I was in the band when we opened for Sonny Landreth, though, and he's a great guy. And it's a
Sweet.
great band. Yeah, that was a long time ago.
I know he still plays down there, but I've never cut Sonny Landreth live yet.
This is for John because I know he's a horror guy or a horror film guy, but he played at the Colonial Theater in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, which is famous is the famous location where they filmed The Blob back in the 50s.
Yep.
And it's a beautiful, great, one of those restored, beautiful old theaters. Phenomenal that they don't grow on trees and build anymore. But that's where he played. He's a great guy, quiet man, but
such a great slide player.
Yeah, and he's got that weird picking style too, like Knopfler kind of thing. It's almost like he has 12 fingers.
Yeah, it's almost like a slide shredder.
Right. But I did want to not to name drop, but I did. But it was Trampled Underfoot, which was a good band. Are there no more? I guess are they no more?
Yeah, they're no more. Danielle and Nick went solo, and the drummer plays in Danielle's band sometimes.
Right.
They're all nice people. They're all great.
Right.
Yeah. So, but
And just
they play Sellersville very often, and Jim Thorpe as well. And she's right behind me too. Yeah, there she is right there. I'm sorry, Greg.
No, but how come you don't call me anymore? The Prince song was the B side of 1999.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So there you go.
Nice.
I'm looking at her website, and unfortunately, she sold out of the vinyl on that particular album.
Yeah, I bought it at the show.
You can just get signed CDs, but on her website, it's just there's no vinyl available, unfortunately. But I might have to look into that. I'd like to check that out.
Definitely check it out.
Great.
Yeah, and she's got a new one coming out this year, I believe. I saw her last year. They were playing on a lot of newer stuff, and it was more of this psychedelic blues thing, and I was like jaw dropped. I mean, it was like excellent. But yeah, can't highly recommend Danielle Nicole's music enough. Wonderful. And my third one is an artist but it's an album that a lot of people didn't buy. And I think if you look at reviews, it's considered one of the great unknown rock and roll albums of all time. And it's Mott the Hoople, and the name of the album is Brain Capers. Now, this was the album before they did All the Young Dudes. In fact, they did this album. It sank without a trace. They broke up, and then David Bowie said, "Get back together. You guys are great." And he went and worked with them on All the Young Dudes. In fact, he lent them the song All the Young Dudes. And they had a choice of All the Young Dudes or Suffragette City. And he produced the album, and then they became bigger in the United States. But this was the album before it, and as great as All the Young Dudes and Mott is and the Hoople is, I like this the best. This album for 1972 is very heavy. Rocks like. Thank you, Nick.
There you go. Nick's got it.
That's right.
You gotta have two.
Ooh,
Sweet.
Well,
yeah. So
that's right. The other day I pulled out 3 Cheap Trick at Budokan, and I had 2 white label promos. So go figure.
It's funny they took the black mask off the CD as opposed to the LP.
Yeah.
Kind of gives it a less interesting look, I think.
That's your favorite album of theirs?
yes, sir. Oh, I love it.
It's good.
Yeah.
Andy John's engineer and Guy Stevens again. The Clash et al.
Was Ariel Bender still in the band at that time? Or?
He was not in the band at that point.
Oh, so he had Mick Rouse, huh?
It was Mick Rouse. Yeah, they were a pretty raucous, dangerous band.
Yeah, I like Mick's style. He's a great guitar player.
Yeah, Death Baby or Santa Claus and Moon Upstairs. I mean, those songs, they're like a locomotive. You think the songs are just gonna fall apart, and they're just so exciting, even in the studio versions. I can imagine how great they were to see live. There's two songs on here that were they were covers, and one of them was a band we talked about on another Obscure Albums edition, Darkness from the Youngbloods, I believe.
Yeah.
We did talk about that on one of our shows. Your Own Backyard is actually a Dion song.
Yep.
Well, I never heard him until All of the Young Dudes was on the radio every single day, every 20 minutes. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. And Sweet Angeline is just a great rocker. Second Love is more of a quiet piano song, and then the horns kick in and take it to another dimension. I think The Journey is one of the great rock and roll epics of all time. I think that song is amazing. I mean, that feels like gospel. I mean, I think it's one of Ian Hunter's finest performances as a singer and as a songwriter. Wonderful album. I cannot highly recommend enough. So this is my number one, Brain Capers.
God, they got so many albums.
I want to is The Journey on their live album or did I hear it on a bootleg? I know I've heard that live.
I'm not sure. I don't have the live album.
Oh my goodness! You get the expanded edition. It's just phenomenal.
Nice.
Steve Vai, I read a quote by him. He said, "You listen to that album, you can almost smell a concert." Like he loved it. It's one of one of Steve Vai's favorite. That was a very odd thing for me to read, but it was one of his favorite. That's one of my favorite live albums.
That sounds like a great invention. Smell a concert.
Yeah.
Sounds like a great title.
Yeah. The 30th anniversary expanded edition is just really, really good.
I've been to some smelly concerts.
Yeah,
They're all smelly.
Some were horrible. Where's the Febreze when you need it?
Beer and sweat.
Sometimes pizza. Sometimes they smell like pizza, depending on what the venue is.
Pretzels.
Yeah, pretzels.
Hey, John. That CD was that a domestic issue or is that like an import? Because I've seen that cover before, but I've never seen the CD.
It's an import. It's from England.
Okay.
Right. I found this used CD shop 5 miles from my house in Dallas. I paid $20 for it, and I mean, I opened it up. It was in excellent condition. So, ching.
I mean, you hardly ever see any of that stuff. Well, you do. You see all the young dudes, and then Mott. You know, you see that.
Let's make clear that's not Dallas, Texas, is it?
Dallas, Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure. Is that anywhere in Moscow, Pennsylvania?
No, Moscow. That's further north of Scranton.
All right, we're talking. We're under the radar.
It's okay. It's all good.
Heading out towards Tunkhannock, Pennsylvania.
It's all right. I live near Denver.
That's right. There you go.
And I'm a Northampton boy originally, so there you go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I guess
it's like a family reunion.
That's right.
I'm the only West Coaster here, huh?
I don't think The Journey is on the live album.
Okay. Again, it might be a bootleg that I have. I know I have that live.
Perhaps.
Somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't see it listed here. But, yep. Those are my picks.
Good stuff.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah, very good.
All right. Thanks for.
Can I show something real quick
that.
before the next person?
Sure. Why not?
Oh, is that the 4 on the floor?
Yeah.
Nice.
That's what the front cover looks like. The band is called 4 on the Floor, but they spell their name with an F-O-U-R. And then they call the album with the 4 number. That's why I was having a hard time finding it on Discogs because they were listed under F-O-U-R instead of the 4 number. But does Glenn Hughes sing on every song? And that, by the way, that's on Casablanca Records, 1979. So I'm sure Kiss had something to do with it.
Probably went straight to the cutout bins, I would imagine.
Yeah, disco versions of Rolling Stones songs don't sound too appealing to me. But
I wonder who had the idea for that, because that's really a piss poor idea.
You know, Glenn Hughes likes disco. Have you ever heard his first album, Play Me Out?
No.
Half of that's disco and funk.
Well, I like funk.
Well, I love.
Well, I don't mind disco either, but
I think he's the greatest rock and roll singer ever.
He
he
still,
still
a great
stands
singer.
up.
Oh, the Dead Daisies. Have you heard that? Just
Oh, yeah.
amazing. And a Black Country Communion. Oh my God, I love that band.
Yep.
There you go. Way to go, John.
Excellent.
Nice.
All right, John. Thanks. Todd, what do you got?
Well, I'm glad that out of my 3 albums, one of my albums is a comedy album. And I'm glad John had a comedy album because I kind of felt like the last time we did this, that I was on, my albums were not really all that much fun. So I think these will be more fun. This is the Side Effects. Oh, do you? Okay. So these folks were from Athens, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And this gentleman right here, Jimmy Elson, was Vanessa Briscoe Hayes' first husband. And so when she talks about how she joined Pylon because she was looking for something to do while her husband finished college, that's the guy. And unfortunately, he passed away a couple of years after they made this record. But the other 2 guys, Kit Schwartz and Paul Butcher, these guys are from Athens. This album came out in 1980. It's kind of an EP. It's 4 songs. But Kit and Paul were supposed to play in a band with REM members, Michael Stipe and Peter Buck. They didn't show up to rehearsal. So the 2 of them found some other guys to play with. But this is a really cool album. It's on DB Records or DB Rex, which is kind of a famous label from Atlanta. And it's very, it's kind of herky-jerky, new wavy sounding, very clean guitar, like no distortion at all. It's just very, very, very clean, jangly stuff with some really, it's really angular sounding. Is that a word? Is that a phrase to describe something? But anyway, great record, not easy to find. I had it when I was in high school and somehow lost track of it. And I found this one in a visit to Athens recently. The value of it's gone up. It's worth about $20-$30, I think. But if you're looking for really obscure Athens, Georgia music, that's definitely something to look for.
And Todd, I have no idea where I bought mine. It must have been that used Kids in Columbus or something.
I bought it.
I knew what it was. I just immediately bought it.
Yeah, I bought it when I was in the 10th grade because I thought I had a cool cover. But I think I saw them too when I was. They only stayed together for like 2 years, but I think when I was in high school, I may have seen them. But the second album I want to talk about, and I don't know if anybody is going to know this artist. This is a pretty obscure new wave artist from, again, I think his albums came out in 1979 and 1981. But this is Wasmo Nariz. And this album is called Tell Me How to Live. And so this is the obscure one. But before we talk about that, his first album was called Things Aren't Right. And some people know about this album. It occasionally pops up in used record bins. But these guys were from Chicago, and they were very, very strange band, but very Zappa-esque. Kind of a cross between Zappa style music and like kind of like Lena Lovitch, like really super quirky new wave, really strange vocals. But their songs are on this first album are they have really funny titles. Like they're just named after things like that they saw. Like one song is called "This Is Your Elbow." One song is called "Germ-Proof Cleaners" because that was just a name of a business that they passed. And the best song is Al's Radiator, and it's a song that really sounds Zappa-esque. I don't know if you can stream this, but if you can, look for that song. It's really pretty amazing. But anyway, that's their first album. That was on IRS. IRS Records dropped them, and so they made this album, Tell Me How to Live, and it's super obscure. I don't know how many they made, but I didn't know about it. I liked this guy when I was in high school, and I didn't know he had a second album. But this was on an independent label, and that's what the back of it looks like. And this cover is really funny. You notice that in this cover and on the other cover, he's wearing two ties. That was kind of his signature look. And there's this little numbers at the bottom of the album that there are like guides that you can point to certain things, and it points to there's a little number there, and that number says wear two ties. But but anyway, this record is I paid, I don't know, $20 for it, but I don't think there's really any demand for it, so I don't know if it's really worth anything. But what do you got there, Rand? Yeah, checking out the Checkout Girl. So I wanted to say that
it only shows one song. It's not a full
album.
Just one song.
That song, Checking Out the Checkout Girl, was on an episode of The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. He has this sketch that he calls the Do Not Playlist. And he played Checking Out the Checkout Girl and roasted it and said, don't ever play this song. But anyway, so it's an acquired taste. But the record label on this record looks like a recording contract, and so it's full of all this really funny stuff. And at the end of it says, the company shall pay no royalties and shall unlawfully hold all monies due as reserves, admitting that you are very lucky indeed to be on big records. Please sign for acceptance. And then the Dead Wax says, this space available for advertising, contact Big Records. On the other side it says, picture your slogan here, reasonable rates. But this is really funny stuff, really entertaining music, really adventurous music, practically avant-garde. And just some of the song titles on this album are Iron on Courage, What Lays. Let me see. Hymn for Humans, Perfect for Ants After 8 p.m. And the Refrigerator Saga. Very funny stuff. So if you see any Rosbro Nariz albums in the cheapie bin, as Grant likes to say, especially this one, it'll probably be $1. Pick it up because it's really fun.
The whole thing's on YouTube. I just saw it.
Yeah. I don't think it's available for streaming. He got his act together about 10 years ago and put a whole bunch of songs on iTunes for purchase. But
cover though, did he change the cover? I don't know.
That's the single. Well, that's a picture that's on the cover, like on the inside.
And then there's 11 separate tracks on this one with the original cover.
Okay, yeah.
So you get your choice. You don't have to listen to the full album. You can just listen to them piece by piece.
Right. I was Facebook friends with his keyboardist Jeff Boynton for a while, and he moved to Los Angeles and became kind of not really famous, but in these circles he was famous. He made like experimental electronic music with like found objects like transistor radios and electronic things, and he would wire them together to make weird sounds. Cool. So interesting people, very interesting people. My third album is this album by Martin Mull, and it's called Days of Wine and Neurosis. Martin Mull's got a bunch of albums, and they're all relatively obscure. I mean, nowadays, in the 70s, they were a little bit more famous. But the reason I picked this one is because Greg Hawkes of the Cars, his first job was he was in Martin Mull's band. And so Greg Hawkes is, I don't know if you can see this, but up here in the credits, he's got a credit like somewhere right around there. He plays the saxophone on this record. Oh. But Martin Mull, if you don't know, is a comedian, but he's also an incredibly good jazz guitarist. And so these records are songs, and they're funny songs, but they're also pretty good songs. But and he's a great player, and his shtick was he sat in like a living room chair, and it looked like the furniture like in somebody's living room. But anyway, this album is really funny, and all of his albums are, but I just kind of wanted to pick one. On the back of this, it has this little thing that says, if you enjoyed this album, you will also enjoy, number 1, James Stewart and Harvey. Number 2, seat covers for your car that look just like jeans. Number 3, the Carpenters. Number 4, the Osmonds. Number 5, eating in front of the TV while Mary Tyler Moore is on. Number 6, Loggins and Messina. And number 7, Gulf. There's one song on here called Thousands of Girls, and the song goes, thousands of girls, I've slept with thousands of girls, please be one of them. Really fun stuff. Really fun stuff. And there's one song called Noses Running My Family. But yeah, again, Martin Mull, these are, I don't know, they're probably around the $12, $14 range these days. Not easy to find. This one was on Capricorn Records. He was on Capricorn for a while, and this one's got the little promo sticker.
It's got, was that is that a white label?
It is. Let me see.
And what year did that come out, Tom?
No, it's actually not a white label, but it says promotion on it. Yeah.
Nice.
This came out in 1975.
Okay.
And so there's a bunch of them from the 70s, and then he signed to ABC like in the late 70s, and that's while he was on the TV shows Mary Hartman, and Fernwood Tonight. And if you've never seen Fernwood Tonight,
God, those are funny.
You must. But yeah, those are my 3 picks. I tried to make them a little bit more fun. My picks were boring last time.
Those are super.
Nice.
That's good stuff.
Good.
Todd, I gotta ask.
Thanks.
So it sounds like Athens, Georgia, actually had a pretty good music scene.
It did. A lot of bands formed like right at the beginning of the 80s, like 79, 80, 81. And a whole bunch of them broke up. But the one guy that's in the Side Effects, Paul Butchert, he still lives in Athens, and he still lives in the same house that he used to live on Millage Avenue in Athens, which is like Fraternity Row. And his house is this crazy, beat up, fallen down old house. But that's where the B-52s played their first gig, in a little tiny room, like right inside the front door. So if anybody wants to come and go do an Athens road trip, I'll show you the house. But
the reason I say is,
I'd like to.
I don't mean to sound ignorant about the Athens, Georgia music scene. I never really knew that. It was like 8-10 years ago when I finally realized that Muscle Shoals here had such a dynamic music scene. Especially in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
I
picked up a box, a little 3 or 4 CD box thing called the Fame Years, and I'm floored by how good some of this stuff was. I'd never heard of most of these people. I mean, yeah, there's a few tracks that you'll recognize, like Land of a Thousand Dances, is on that, and of course, I'm gonna, You Better Move On by Albert Alexander, which that one just became the Muscle Shoals staple, really. But yeah, I just had no idea just how much good stuff came out of the Shoals.
Yeah, my wife and I went there on a vacation about 8 or 9 years ago, and I'd heard of Muscle Shoals, but I didn't realize until I got there how historic it was. I mean, we went to Fame Studios, and we were sitting in the parking lot, and I was like looking it up on my phone, and I was going, "Holy crap!" Yeah, and I was like, "I want to go inside," but it was closed. But
that's
a cool place to go, and there's a good record store there too. As a matter of fact,
they have some good merchandise. I picked up some odds and ends of stuff that was recorded there, just some rare, odd things. But yeah, that could be like a totally different show, exploring some of these, some of these things. Because I wouldn't mind kind of doing a deeper dive, but of course I've been saying that for years too, and I never got it. Anyway, sorry to go off on that tangent.
No, that's awesome.
Hey, Todd.
Yeah.
There was a documentary in production about Martin Mull's life. I don't know where it is because I think one of the producers was Bob Saget, the late great.
Oh, okay.
They are or were, but there's something out there about his life which I would love to see. The one anecdote I heard, it was alive. I heard him say this. It was kind of funny. He was also a folkie at some point too, back in the 60s, let's say. But he was asked about Bob Dylan, and I don't think he's a big Bob Dylan fan. And he described Bob Dylan's music as if you were to throw a thesaurus out the window of a moving vehicle. I love that. Not a Dylan fan.
Yeah, he's hilarious. I lived in Los Angeles for a very short time at the end of the 90s, and the Museum of Television and Radio History, the Paley Museum in LA, does these little things where they'll do like a TV show, and they'll have the cast come and like sit on a stage, and there's like a Q&A. And they did one for Fernwood Tonight.
Yeah.
And that was when Frank Duvall was still alive, Happy Kind. and Fred Willard was
Fred
still
Willard?
alive, and and it was amazing. And I remember going to it, and somebody was coming up carrying their tuxedo, and they asked me to get the door for him, and I opened the door, and it was Frank Duvall, who played Happy Kind,
wow.
and is like a band leader from forever and ever ago. And but that was absolutely amazing. I'm a big Martin Mull fan. And Serial's a great movie.
My favorite.
When I was a kid, my dad tried to take me to see Martin Mull in Atlanta, and I was a big fan of his when I was 12, 13 years old, and of course most of the jokes just went right over my head. But my dad tried to take me, and they wouldn't let us in because you had to be 18 to get in. But he tried.
Yeah.
He gets points for that.
That's awesome.
All right, cool. Thanks, Todd. Great choices.
Thanks.
Nick.
Yeah. All right, let's go.
What do you got?
My theme for the prior two episodes was known people or famous artists that have had obscure albums, and I'm going to continue that. And there may be some connections between what I'm going to show you and our prior episode. So whoever sees this months from now can go back and watch this one as well as the others. You may remember last episode I told you guys about this album. It was by Jimmy Dewar, lead singer of Robin Trower group, and also Stone the Crows. And this album sat on the vault in the vaults for about 20 years, and they finally released it. And of course, no one heard of it. I can outdo that one. There was an album that was recorded in 1972 by a known person that had a fair amount of acclaim at that point, and he was making solo albums. And it even features a Beatle, George Harrison, and he presented it to A&M Records where he was signed, and they said no thanks. And I can't believe it because A&M Records is a pretty good label, like a lot of the artists on it, and I think they really screwed this one up. And so it sat for 40-some years. So in around 2015, let's say, artist, I won't say the artist yet, artist makes a phone call to Michelle Anthony. Michelle Anthony is a lawyer and music industry power broker for, at the time, Universal. She's also the daughter of Dee Anthony. Dee Anthony was a famous manager impresario of Peter Frampton and Humble Pie and all sorts of artists. Famous guy. And he said, hey, I recorded this album back in 72. What, can we do something with it? The next day she put him in touch with somebody, and finally it got out, like right after that. So he really thanked her a lot. It came out on Esoteric Records, which is a division of Cherry Red. Cherry Red, great UK label, all sorts of great stuff. But the name of the artist is Gary Wright, the Dreamweaver. And we also know Gary Wright from this band, Spooky Tooth, right here. Well, other side. Wait, where am I? Gary Wright. So Gary Wright had left Spooky Tooth and was releasing solo albums, and he put together a band that was supposed to tour on the recommendation of Jerry Moss from A&M Records. The band was called Wonder Wheel. The band featured Mick Jones, later played with, of course, Spooky Tooth, and then Leslie West, and then formed Foreigner. And a guy, I don't know him. I'll bet you Rand knows him. His name was Tommy Duffy from the band Lindisfarne.
I've heard of Lindisfarne.
Okay.
They were on the same label as Genesis, Charisma.
Fair enough. And then drummer, a guy who went on to play with Spooky Tooth, his name's Bryson Graham, who's just a phenomenal drummer. He did studio recordings and died at a young age. But anyway, put out the name of the album was going to be Wonder Wheel, et cetera, featured George Harrison playing slide guitar on a track or two. Never got released, finally gets released. And it is something you should all hear and maybe own. And the name of the album is called Ring of Changes.
Wow.
Some of the tracks snuck out. I knew one of the tracks is called I Know. I Know was released, when Gary Wright had his big album with Dreamweaver, A&M Records rushed to put out a greatest hits of Spooky Tooth and Gary Wright, and they snuck on this track I Know, which is really hard. It's a heavy rocker. Something that you would hear from Spooky Tooth, just driving song. And there may have been one or two other songs that kind of came out promotionally, but the thing never saw the light of day. If you like Spooky Tooth, you like proto prog. If you like the Dreamweaver period, you like this. Spooky Tooth early on was influenced by the band, so I hear a little bit of the band in here. And I'm not a huge knowledgeable person about Little Feat, but I'm hearing things that almost like that sort of very earthy Americana type stuff.
Nice.
Little Feat. And then you've got Gary Wright with his ethereal vocals, something akin to maybe what George Harrison might have been doing in the early 70s. And that's what this album is. And it's so well worth the listen. There's a lot of guitar riffs on it. There you go.
I'm downloading it right now, Nick.
It's just so well worth it. I think you'll enjoy it, especially when you think that George Harrison played on it. It should have been released.
Yeah.
When you think, if you listen to this and give it a chance, you'll be like, why wasn't this released? You know, whether you think it's great or not, it should have been released. But
well, it says A&M Records on it right here.
It says A&M now. Well, and who was in the production studio? Engineer was Chris Kimsey and Andy Johns.
Wow.
All top flight people. So it was recorded at Apple Studios. So it had all the ingredients. It should have been out there, but I guess better late than never. 45 years later. So that's my number one pick, and of the three, that's the one I think I would recommend. It came out in 2016, and I just think a lot of rock fans from across who have interest across wide genres would like it.
And they had Procol Harum and Straubs. I mean, why not?
Yeah, and I'm curious to hear if you guys hear it and get back to me what you think. I mean, I just can't believe it was never released, but I enjoy it. And I like his voice. I think he's got a great voice. He can really push it. He's got a great soul R&B voice, and you get a little bit of that on here too. We'll stay with the same theme. Next artist, Spooky Tooth bandmate Mike Harrison. Album's called Late Starter, released in around 2007. I mentioned this on a Patreons only video with the Contrarians with Marco, and Mike Harrison is one of my favorite vocalists of all time. He's got a great bluesy, soulful voice, got a lot of grit to it. This guy was in and out of Spooky Tooth, had some solo albums. He leaves the music industry at around 75, and he's out of it until the early to mid 90s when Spooky Tooth reformed and had an album out. And then he was with did a couple other projects like the Hamburg Blues Band, but he came out with this thing in around 07, 08. Every song is a cover. And it's like he's been singing these songs and been waiting to hit us with these his whole entire life. Some of the artists on here, he's done, I know he's got, or some of the songwriters, I know Ashford and Simpson, Tony Joe Wright, White. He does a song called Out of the Rain. It's just fantastic. You can find this on streaming services as well as YouTube. Fool in Love. It's a Frankie Miller track. There's who is it? Isaac Hayes. You name it. Person's on here. Hank Cochran. It sort of treads that line. You mentioned Muscle Shoals. Muscle Shoals kind of sound. Mike Harrison early on recorded an album in Muscle Shoals. It's really a good one. It's early 70s, but this sort of picks up where that left off. If you want to see a guy at top of his craft singing and sort of soul R&B, a little bit of country, that Muscle Shoals sound and blues, I would highly recommend it. It's definitely well worth the listen. Last one, I changed my mind. I was going to mention one that I mentioned on the Contrarians before, the pick that what album I've heard the most since 2000. I'll give that an honorable mention. I'll do it now. Honorable mention, Ian McLagan, Never Say Never. This is the album that he recorded right after his wife's passing, the former Mrs. Keith Moon. You feel like you're grieving along with the guy. It's just really, it's incredibly moving album. The lyrics are just really deep, touching, but he also can still rock out all of the faces. So that's a great one. But if you're looking for something new, it's a guitarist who doesn't get much acclaim, and I'm starting to learn about him now. I found this album in a record store used for $5, and I put it on, and I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The dive bombs, the soloing. It's Bernie Tormey. The album's called Wild Irish, released in 97. Bernie Tormey is the guy that started off in the punk genre. played with Gillan, was the famous actual replacement for Randy Rhoads when Ozzy had dates to fulfill. And he hustled it over here from the UK and started playing at the Stable Arena in Bethlehem and did a bunch of dates, as sort of a one-off, not a one-off thing, but he played those dates and then moved on. But his sound is incredibly raw. The recording's incredibly raw. His vocals are incredibly raw. He's got those punk beginnings. It's really just no holds barred. There's a ton of energy on this album. He went on to play, I think, with Dee Snider in a band called Desperado that the album never saw the light of day when they made it, but it's been out since. But he just died a couple of years ago, and he was releasing albums of music up until that point. But I chose this as a starting point because it was my first Bernie Tormey album, and it's just fun stuff. And a guy just cranking on a Stratocaster, and you feel like you're in the rehearsal room with them. It's just wild. Wow. So I just a lot of fun.
I think this the Muscle Shoals album, the Smokestack Lightning.
Smokestack Lightning. The song itself is just an incredible, great tribute to Howlin' Wolf, and
nice.
That's a great album. But yeah, anyway, those are my 3 plus honorable mention.
Excellent picks.
Excellent.
Great
Holy
stuff.
crap!
Did Mike Harrison sing "I Am the Walrus" for Spooky Tooth?
He did.
Yes.
He did.
Yeah, that's a great cover.
Yeah, he also on the same album he does a Elton John tune. Was it "Song of My Father"? What's the name of that? Hold on, hang on. Now I gotta find it.
Is that the last?
Yeah,
puff?
what's the name of that album? I forget.
Last Puff.
Yeah,
Last
the
Puff.
The Last Puff. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Got that
picked that
Indian
up on.
guy smoking the.
I picked that up on CD not too long ago. I think it's on Esoteric too.
Yeah, son of your father.
Yeah, thank you. Yep.
Yeah.
Son of Your Father. Yeah, it's one of the early recordings of an Elton John song. So, yeah, that's a good album. Matter of fact, that album features basically Spooky Tooth was basically at that point the Grease Band, Joe Cocker's Grease Band, because it features a guy that I'm learning about who's a phenomenal guitar player, Henry McCullough.
Yeah, he was in Woodstock.
And Henry McCullough also, Rand will know this, was in Wings.
Right.
So,
he does that beautiful solo on My Love.
Wings.
God, what a solo. It was so good.
He just passed a few years ago, but he had a decent voice too. I like Henry McCullough's stuff.
He said he
was
did
a
that
great
on the
guitar
first
player.
take. You know that My Love solo? One
Yeah.
take, and they went with it. Paul said it's perfect. Just leave it right as it is.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a great unheralded guitar player. He also played with Frankie Miller.
Really good.
So yeah.
Fantastic picks. Good stuff.
Excellent picks.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anybody here fans of like Utopia or Todd Rundgren or anybody? Well, this might be a record for you guys. This album came out in 1980. Todd Rundgren produced it.
I know what this is. Go ahead. Sorry.
Todd
I think I know what it is too.
You lost your obscuriness.
I know, but if someone sees it, I'm going to recommend it. So came out in
I didn't give anything away. I'm just laughing.
I know, but you damn Todd Rundgren.
I'm just
fan.
glad I got my dog out of the room. It was going great.
So this came out in 1980. Todd Rundgren produced it. Utopia is the backing band on it. So essentially, it's a Utopia album with a different vocalist. Now, this will probably be the only time you'll ever see this artist on the Contrarians or this channel or anything. But the album is Sean Cassidy.
Oh my God, I owned that.
That is
I
a
bought
great
that when it
album.
came out, and I didn't keep it.
That is a great album.
It's a great record.
It all comes
I
back
know.
to Wasp.
I wasn't
It
ready.
does, you're right, John.
But this was his final album, and he enlisted Todd Rundgren to, revamp his career, so to speak. And there are songs on here. I mean, literally, it sounds like Utopia, 1980 Utopia.
I don't
It's
remember
kind of wavy.
I don't remember the name of the song, but there's one song on there that is definitely a Utopia song that they just gave him, and it's a ballad, I think, but that record is great.
Pretending, there's selfish. Okay, there's a lot of Todd Rundgren.
I think
songs
it's
on
Pretending.
But I mean, if you're a Todd Rundgren fan or a Utopia fan, this is a must-have.
I forgot all
You
about it.
never see it anywhere. You never see it. But there's like, he does a version of Rebel Rebel, David Bowie. There's a song on here, Cool Fire, that's written by Willie Wilcox and Roger Powell, Sean Cassidy, and Todd Rundgren. It's just crazy. David Byrne songs on here.
Nice.
Yeah, isn't it the book I read? Isn't that the song doesn't he cover the Talking Head song or a Talking Head song? Is that the one? Yeah.
It's a crazy record, but it still stands up and it's very new wavy. Yep, that's it.
I'm downloading it as we speak because
That
I can't
man,
remember.
he
It's
is
been
some
42
downloader.
years. I bought this. I listened to it one time and took it back to the works. I said, I hate that record. I don't want it. But I might
know,
like
it's
it
a
today.
classic.
I mean, where do you go after the Hardy Boys and the Do Run Run? I mean, come on.
Well, think about it. At this point, Sean needed a hit, and it was like do or die. And at this point, he figured, what the hell? I'm just going to do what I want to do. You make an album with Todd Rundgren and Utopia. So what can you say?
I would want to do that.
Yeah, why not? So I recommend this.
It's a great band. I mean, you can't criticize the band or Todd Rundgren.
And
I mean,
Sean
genius.
Cassidy sounds fine. He sounds fine. It's a
he
Utopia
had a good
album.
teacher. I mean, Shirley Jones. My God, she can sing like an angel.
That's right.
You're thinking David
It's
Cassidy.
good genes.
Isn't,
All right,
Sean,
this is
isn't that Sean's mother?
Yeah, it's her stepmom.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
so
true. You're right. You're right. My
He
bad.
was able to teach him how to sing, and of course, David, he was good too.
Yeah, David's the stuff.
I owned the Partridge
Son.
Family album when I was in the Air Force, guys. It was a great album. I mean, I Think I Love You was a huge hit.
Yeah. Well, this is kind of related in a weird way because it's got the backing
choice.
band. There's what would I want to say? This came out in 86 on A&M. It's the only record she ever put out. And she ended up marrying Jeff Lynne, but I don't think they're together anymore. But she was a model. I don't know if you guys know this record, the Rosie Vila album.
I do.
I've seen it.
When I worked at the record store, A&M pushed that like you wouldn't believe.
Wow.
They just threw
This is a great record.
whole bunch
It-
of money at it. It
All
didn't.
music. Yeah. All music gave this like 4 stars. It's produced by Gary Katz and Donald Fagen and Walter Becker playing on the whole thing.
Nice.
She wrote it, but it's got Rick Derringer. It is basically a Steely Dan album to some degree with Rosie singing. She wrote all the songs, but Tony Levin's playing Chapman Stick on it. Rick Derringer's on it. Larry Fast, Jim Keltner. All
Holy
kinds of
moly.
people are on this. Yeah.
I'm in.
It's
Where do I sign up?
download that too, Rand, while you're
I
downloading.
will. I'll go looking for it right
But you
now.
know, not
That's a
only
good
is the artwork incredible, but yeah, it is a great record. It didn't sell. She had kind of a hit with Fool's Paradise.
It's funny. It just came up as you said it. Fool's Paradise.
There you go. You need to get that Sean Cassidy record. But yeah, it came out on A&M. It did come out on CD. I think I got the CD too.
1986.
Yeah. But it sounds very Steely Dan-like. So if you like Steely Dan, do yourself a favor and look for this and try to find it.
I'm gonna
It's
own it in
great
about
stuff.
20
Now it's
seconds.
forgotten. It's forgotten in time.
She and Jeff Lynne are not married anymore. But if you see, there's a ELO concert called Zoom that goes
Yep.
along with the ELO album that came out in 2001, and she's in the band.
Oh,
The rhythm section is the Bissonnettes, Greg Bissonette and his brother,
Wow.
and she's like a
Greg and Matt.
list. Yeah, it's very interesting.
So here's an. Yeah, I remember seeing her singing. I don't know what happened to that relationship, but all right, here's one. I don't know if I can recommend it, but if you're a Cheap Trick completist, and I can't remember if we talked about this last month or what show we were talking about, but this is the album that came out in '84. It's actually an EP. It's a 6-song EP Tom Peterson and Another Language. And here it is. Check out. How bad is that?
Did you already have that, Grant, or did you buy it?
No, I've had this for years. I bought it for $1. And there's Dagmar. Look at it. But this is on Enigma. I mean, I haven't listened to it in a year. And it also has like a cut. It's a cutout. You know, this thing didn't sell for shit. And it went straight to the cutout bins. It never came out on CD. I mean, look at the picture, for God's sakes.
Was that while he was away from Cheap Trick for that short time?
This came out in 84. He quit in 80. And then, you know, he hung out Dagmar during that time. And
but he didn't come back till 87, right?
What's that?
Right? When did he come back to Cheap Trick? It was after that.
88.
88.
Yeah, Lap of Luxuries when he came back.
And it didn't make a damn bit of difference if he was in the band or not. You think Tom Peterson coming back would have reinvented the band, but no, same old schlop. But anyway, Tom Mooney is. Do you know who Tom Mooney is? You familiar with the band, the Nas?
Oh,
I've heard of the Nas.
I don't know who that is.
Tom Mooney's the drummer on here. And he was in Fuse. So, you know, they're all kind of connected. In Fuse, Tom Peterson, Rick Nielsen was in Fuse. So, you know, it's if you're a completist, you probably need this in your Cheap Trick arsenal. I wouldn't recommend it as a good listen. It's not very good. But it is what it is. And then that's 3, but I'm going to talk about something else real quick. Well, shit, I actually have 2 things.
I think Tom Peterson inspired Doug Pinnick to play a 12-string hammer bass.
Probably.
Because nobody else does. It's just him and Doug that do it.
Right. I'm going to hold up something, but I'm sure Todd probably knows this. He seems to know everything that I throw up here. But I'm going to recommend this. I don't know if you guys know Gary Myrick.
Mm-hmm.
Heard of him.
I've seen that, but I'm not familiar with it.
Oh, my God. Well, Gary Myrick was in a band called Gary Myrick and the Figures, which was like a new wave band that played, you know, when the Knack was playing out in L.A. and all that. This is like his first solo thing, and this is like an EP, but it's got wonderful stuff. The song Guitar Talk, Love and Drums, The Message Is You. This is what I recommend. Look up Gary Myrick, The Message Is You. Freaking phenomenal. But you can find this in dollar bins if you look at it. This was released, is it Wounded Bird? Put out all the Gary Myrick stuff, re-released it. You can still get it on CD.
They usually do fusion albums.
Huh?
Wounded Bird usually does fusion albums, progressive and stuff like
Well,
that.
they do all kinds
A lot
of
of
stuff.
straight jazz stuff too.
But this, I think, was recorded to be an album. But if you find the CD, it's got all these extra tracks from these sessions. I don't know. They probably didn't like everything that Gary was producing then, but he's a phenomenal guitar player, and it's just a wonderful EP. In fact, I would recommend any of the Gary Myrick and the Figure stuff, or just the Gary Myrick solo stuff. It's top notch. And then the only other thing I'm going to show is honorable mention is you guys are familiar with this band?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Billy Squire and Billy Squire
There's
is
Billy
band.
right there. Yeah.
Is that Piper?
Yeah. Power Pop. And I got this for $3.
All right.
Wow.
It's great.
$3. White label promo.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Sweet.
Every time I see that, I think of Carrie, the movie.
But if you like Power Pop and you like Billy Squire, I'd recommend this. This is a good record. But it's kind of obscure, but not really. The other things I threw out here are pretty obscure, but Piper's worth picking up, and that's all I've got to recommend.
Wow.
But yeah. And
Excellent choices.
they did put that Piper stuff did come out on CD, like as a twofer, and I think it came out on God, what was that label? I don't think they reissue anything anymore, but it came out as a twofer. If you find it, I mean, I'd buy it if you could find it used for a decent price, but you'll never see it online. It's like $100, $150 for that. It goes for big money for the CD. Better off finding the vinyl if you can find it, but it's worth picking up if you like Billy Squier. It's pretty good power pop.
So if anybody wants to do any Partridge Family content,
God,
just let me know.
Wow.
Yeah, throw your email in the comments.
Wow.
I had the original, the very first one.
I'm
Just
missing one.
brownish or something.
which one are you missing?
That's impressive.
I'm missing bulletin board.
Bulletin
So I
board.
have the self-titled, up-to-date sound magazine, shopping bag, Christmas card, notebook, and crossword puzzle. So I'm missing bulletin board. Partridge Family was my first band, and I started listening to them when I was in the 2nd grade. So I graduated from the Partridge Family to Kiss.
There you go.
Which of
Well,
course
I
is
went
a
from-
natural
I
progression.
went from Fiddle on the Roof. to Kiss.
That's the
There you go.
natural progression. Yeah.
I just found out there's a Japanese trio called Piper from the early 80s that have nothing to do with the other one. I see that all the time. Other bands taking other names. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. Well, there you go. Sounds like a
A&M
Partridge
Records,
Family.
A&M Records, Grant.
There it is. They put out two records. Oh, they only put
Albert
out two
Moss.
records.
Alpert and Moss, excuse me.
Yeah, I think I got the other one too, but I don't know. That's the only one that I've got that's a promo. So that's pretty cool. I don't know how much that'd be going for now, but I'm sure it's a couple bucks.
Oh, I forgot to look. Sorry.
It's all right. That was a great discussion. Anybody have anything else to add or plug?
You can get that album in good shape for about $20, United States. There.
I guess $3 is good for a white label.
You doing these once a month on the end of the month?
What, this?
Yeah, these obscure albums.
Oh, I don't know. I was only going to do one. Now we've done 3.
Well, I've got so many, it's mind-boggling.
I mean, that's up to you guys if you want to do it.
It's hard for me to choose 3 or 4.
I mean, I got plenty of
hundreds.
I got plenty of shit I can pull out.
I got stuff that you guys have never ever heard of, and you might love.
That's fine.
I don't know.
So
We can
so
do
I just
another one
looked up
in-
that I just looked up that bulletin board album that you're talking about, Todd.
Mhm.
Now this might excite Tim Derling, being the 8-track nut that he is. I found a copy of it on 8-track. Yeah, $115.
Yeah. For a very
Lord.
short time, Buddha Records became a thing again. It was distributed by
Yep.
Arista, and they made all of these deluxe editions, and then they were almost immediately out of print.
Yeah,
So
I'm
they're
only finding
expensive
like
now.
vinyl in 8-tracks, but yeah,
Yeah.
like there's a vinyl version for like $150, but it's like I think it's a 73 version.
It's not worth that.
Yeah.
Don't pay
Well,
that.
every now and then I come across these Partridge Family reissues in the bins, and they're only like $4.99 or $5.99. I mean, I'll keep my eye out for bulletin board, but I've never seen that one in the wild.
It's
Seen
very
the other
obscure.
ones.
When they made the last 2 albums, the show was off, and they were
Oh,
just
okay.
they were, or it was about to go off, and they were just barely holding on.
I think the one I had was called the Partridge Family album. And it was
The
a game-
first one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah,
I guess that's probably the one that a lot of people have actually.
I didn't keep it, but yeah, because I lost all my records when I went to Puerto Rico.
Well, all right. Anybody have
Good
anything
stuff,
to
y'all.
plug, or John Clauser, you got anything going on? I know you keep
Well,
posting videos and stuff. but-
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of ideas. So I do have something coming up on my channel this weekend. This is going to be an Up the Irons metal roundtable thing. So we're going to be talking about Iron Maiden and our top 3 album openers. So we're going to look at the Iron Maiden discography and just see what's our favorite openers. And I've got a bunch of my friends that I've known, some I've known for years and years and years. And then I've got some newer friends that, but there's 2 things they have in common. 1, they know who I am. 2, they all love Iron Maiden. Good to go. It's not going to be live streamed. I haven't gotten into that yet, but with probably 9 or 10 people on this thing, that's probably going to go on all night anyway. So that's going to be a fun one. Other than what I'm guesting on for what we're doing here and what I'm doing on Ryan's Vinyl Destinations. I think I've got something in the works with Peter at Rock Daydream Nation. That's mostly it. But yeah, my big thing this weekend is my little roundtable that's going to be on my music corner. So I'll be recording that this weekend, and we'll get it out there.
Sweet. Rand, what do you got coming up?
We got you're supposed to be with me on that, and Ryan, next Tuesday, I'm hoping. We're going to do the 4th installment of the Beatles U.S. albums. We're going to be doing Beatles 65, which is one of my favorites of all time. And it will be on Rand Anthony Kelly on YouTube. Now that I'm a full-fledged pro Zoom member, I don't have to worry about time limits anymore.
Yeah, damn time limits.
And musically, I haven't been inspired to play anything. I haven't touched a guitar in a month, so just been kind of, I don't know, everything's gathering dust, I guess. I'll get back into it soon. I want to do something. I've just lost my muse for something.
It happens.
I feel you. I know exactly what you mean.
The
most guitar I play is the little lick from Love Gun, and I've been practicing that it's just a great little finger exercise. But boy, other than that, I hardly been touching the guitar myself. So I know what you mean.
The last thing I did was grab my acoustic guitar, my Gibson Hummingbird, and I decided to do an experiment to play chords that have never been heard before. And I made myself absolutely physically ill because the notes just didn't go together. It was so bad. I was like, no one's going to listen to this because I can't.
Somewhere there's a really crazy jazz musician say, "Oh, but did you try the sharp 7th on that?"
No, Robert Fripp would be going, nah, that's not weird. I did that 50 years ago.
John, the music nut.
King Crimson Lizard. Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
That's got a lot of weird notes in it too, by the way.
So, John, what do you have coming up?
30 minutes. I will be over on Ryan's Vinyl Destination doing our second of our several part series of the U2 catalog. We will be on there. We will be discussing War and the Unforgettable Fire. There you
go.
For you. So stop over and join us. It'll make you smile.
Oh my God.
Not me.
We'll be right back.
I'm gonna have you do all the
you're really good at
promos
that
for me now,
thing, John.
Thank
Good
you.
job. You got to call yourself John the Announcer.
I've done some announcing.
No crap.
I like it. I'm gonna have you start doing all of them. All right, Todd, what do you got?
You.
Got
the usual suspects. Grant's Rock Warehouse, Ryan's Vinyl Destination. I have it written down so I won't forget one. Rock Daydream Nation, my music corner. Hopefully I'll be on that again sometime. Rush fans, bunch of Rush fans, cool Rush fans stuff coming up. Is that about it? Contrarians.
Oh, I forgot. I'm going to be on Sea of Tranquility's Curse of the Collector probably in the beginning of July sometime, where we're going to show what we've been buying.
Excellent.
You don't talk about downloads on that show, let me tell you.
Hell no, you can't download. We don't talk about
Physical
downloads
product.
here.
Get the hell out of here.
We're all physical product here. Nick, you got anything coming up? Is there going to be on anybody else's show or anything?
I think I'm doing
on?
something with you. Doing something with you in a couple of weeks about cheapy
We're
records.
doing the Cheapy Bin episode.
Yeah,
Cheapy Bin
I'll
number-
email you. I have another name for you to consider for your show, free of charge. You can take it if you want. You'll like it. You'll know the name. I won't say now. I don't want to ruin the surprise, but you can use it if you want.
Okay.
I always miss. Or I seem to forget. I'll post my band leader, Jim George. Facebook, YouTube. If you get a guy who's got like no hair on top, that's not the Jim George we're talking about. But
it's the
he's
other
out
Jim
there.
George.
What's that?
It's the other Jim George.
That's exactly right. That's the yeah. You'll see a lot of live clips out there. You might even see some with me if you're on YouTube.
All right, cool. Well, today I just put up the Beach Boys Love You episode. We're up to episode 27 for crying out loud.
There
I
go.
just got 100 subscribers.
All right.
Yay!
Congratulations.
2 months. That's not bad. At least that's what people tell me. I don't know. So we did this with Ryan Gavalier and David Gallagher. Hard to pronounce his last name because it's a lot harder to pronounce than it looks. So anyway, we looked at Beach Boys Love You, which is from 1977. That was a good one. Todd Evans and I looked at Matthew Sweet, Altered Beast, and Girlfriend. That's been up for, I don't know, a couple days.
So that's the Roger Dean. That's the Roger Dean logo I was telling you about.
You bet. Yeah. And then coming the end of the month, though, I haven't set out any dates yet. I'm going to start doing a once a month, or we'll just see how it goes. Show called This Is Power Pop, where I'll throw out a title to the panel and they review it, and then we discuss it. And a lot of the stuff, I don't want to try to use run-of-the-mill stuff that we normally see. Even though the first episode, we're going to start out with the Raspberries' first album. I figure if you're going to start a new show, we might as well start with a band that pretty much started this whole power pop thing, the Raspberries. So we're going to look at that. I'll be throwing some dates out. So anybody who wants to come and go on this adventure with me, we'll do that. So that's coming soon. The other thing is we've got a Friday night chat. Right now it's going to happen, but I am off on Friday and I might go down and see my daughter in Cincinnati. So I'm not sure if might be postponed. It just depends. But anyway, technically we're having a Friday night live chat, records that changed your life. And that's supposed to be at 7:00. I may bump it to 8. I'm just playing it by ear to see what happens on Saturday. But that'll be fun. And I can't tell you who's going to join. It could just be me just yapping. That could be just me. So that's that. Hell, I might just do it from Cincinnati. That might be fun. So other than that, that's what's coming up on the channel. There's way more stuff coming up. Like I said, Nick and I are doing the Cheapy Bin episode. That's going to be great because I just love that stuff. So we have a lot of Cheapy Bin stuff to review. But other than that, does anybody else have anything to add?
Well, I can't think
Go
of
for
it.
it.
If we want to do another obscure album talk, I'm all for it because I love to hear about all this stuff that you never hear about. And I love to check out new stuff, especially this obscure stuff that you never hear about.
I
So if
could
you
be
guys
80
all want to
years
do
old
it,
before we get to running out of stuff that I can produce. So
all right.
that's 10
So
years.
was that a yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Well,
got you
everyone
covered
stay
for
on
10
and
years, Grant.
All right. Well, I'm going to say goodbye, but everyone stay on and then we'll just pick a date real quick while we're all here. It's just easier to do that. So I want to say thank you to the panel. I appreciate everyone showing up today. For everyone who tuned in and made comments, bless you. Bless you, my children. So until the next episode, this is Grant, and I wish you all good night.
Night.
Okay,
Aye.
right.
Night.